I believe that the majority of people can be rehabilitated, and I say that for myself and from what I've seen in 25 years of people actually making it. And that's our only hope, because if people can't change, there's no hope. There's no hope for humanity, never mind in prisons.
There are two schools of thought about our ability to change: those who think we can change and those who think we cannot. This video is about 4 people who think we can. This is a tale of 4 altruists. Sita Lozoff and her husband, Bo, try to help prisoners while they're still locked up. Kathy Sneed does, too. Mimi Silbert helps them when they're out.
It's a combination between an extended family and Harvard. I always compare us to Harvard. They go for the top 5% of the population. We just as snobbily and exclusively want the bottom 5% of the population. Their people stay an average of 4 years. Our people stay an average of 4 years.
All 4 of them work with prisoners in one way or another. The Lozoffs live in rural North Carolina in a house they built themselves on land donated to the Human Kindness Foundation. In 1994, they won the Temple Award for Creative Altruism for their work with the Prison Ashram Project. An ashram is a place where you go for a spiritual retreat. Bo says a prison can be an ashram. They were helped by a spiritual teacher named Ramdas.
And found ourselves in an ashram. So my sister's husband was doing time in a prison at the same time we were in an ashram. And as we got to visit him, we saw at that time, the ashram that we were in here in North Carolina, we were waking up at 5 in the morning, or 4 in the morning actually, and wearing all white, and very few social liberties, no going to movies, and not a lot of recreation. We were working hard on a farm all day without being paid for it. We went to visit my brother-in-law in federal prison in Indiana, and by that time he had made it out to the prison farm, and he was waking up at 5 in the morning and wearing all white and working hard on a farm all day without getting paid for it. And we just noticed, you know, we're the ones who got away and you got caught, and our lifestyle in a day-to-day sense is actually structured in very much the same way. And so we began to look at that great riddle, because he would give anything to do many of the things that we had voluntarily given up. One of our friends came up with the name Prison Ashram Project, and Ramdas began giving us funding out of his pocket at that point and just mentioning us in his lectures, and that got the word around. And he started giving us all the mail that he was receiving from people in prison after the publication of his book, Be Here Now. And it just became a project. This was all back in the early 70s. We officially made it a project in 1973. And it has been rolling since then. Every stripe of the prison population just began writing. And it was like a flood from, we would be writing to somebody in one prison, and then he or she would be transferred to another prison. And then we'd start hearing from people in that prison. We never had any kind of campaign or anything like that telling people about the project. So over the last 21 years, the project has continued to pretty much define and evolve itself. And the practical expression of the development of that is always kindness, altruism, compassion. And the project has, in a way, developed me and Sita into being that.
And it caused Bo to write 3 books that are practical guides to living a happy life, both in and out of prison. The secret is altruism. Every letter is answered, and copies of Bo's 3 books are sent free to anyone who asks for them. All of this is done with no government support and no appeal for money to anyone, because when people realize how badly it's needed, they donate voluntarily. Not just monetary support, but also physical support.
Chuck, you want the box?
all the helpers are volunteers. This spirit of altruism and cooperation results from the example set by Bo and Sita, who say that helping others is where happiness lies.
Well, most of what I do here at the Human Kindness Foundation is answer mail, and I've been doing it for 20 years now, and it's just the most incredible blessing I could ever have imagined. To just be a part of somebody's transformation is so moving and so wonderful. And let me give you an example of what I mean. Dear Bo and Sita, I've been doing time since '86. And about 3 years ago, a friend who saw more in me than I did talked to me about ashrams, past the concrete and past the guard towers. At a time when I needed positive encouragement, guidance, understanding, and compassion, I found all of those in you and your foundation, and credit you for the inner peace I'm finding within myself. But now, from the changes that are taking place in my life and the changes in my attitude, I'm beginning to turn all of that energy into a positive force. Isn't that amazing?
The Lozovs spend much time talking to prison officials to try to solve this pressing problem. This is what Warden Gibbons has to say.
Educate the community to the sense that if we don't work to reclaim the cities, we are going to bankrupt our society. We simply cannot incarcerate all of the criminals in our society. We have to work in preventive measures.
But Sita and I have seen a process of transformation occur. I'll call it transformation instead of rehabilitation. Among people like our manager of our place called Kindness House. Terry spent 10 years in prison, convicted of murder. And his father is still in prison for murder. His son is in prison for violent assault. If you were to look at anybody and say, oh, that's in their blood, it's in their lineage, they're beyond hope, don't waste your money on programs for them, just lock them up, it would be Terry's family. And yet Terry, the first year that he was sent to prison in 1981, got a hold of one of our books, and the idea struck him. He was at the low point of his life. He was locked up as a criminal, as a murderer, and he decided to go for it. And now he's the manager of a place called Kindness House.
And we corresponded with Sita and Bo for 10 years. And I just practiced the methods and the discipline. And it changed me. Changed the way I saw things, the way I reacted. I got quiet, happier. I became actually free in prison.
Anyone unfamiliar with our use of euphemisms to screen things we don't want to see would think this was a private school until he looked to the right. It houses several hundred, mostly young men. Stephen Weber works in the shop making presents for children. When he entered this prison 6 years ago, his reading skill was at 7th grade level. Now they're at college level, thanks to educational programs available to inmates at that time, which are now being curtailed.
I just don't see rehabilitation. They don't try to really help you. They warehouse you, you do your time, and they release you.
Of course, people can be rehabilitated. Absolutely. I mean, everyone makes mistakes. Those of us that are in here are just ones that got caught doing something. You know, this is a big part of humanity that our society has locked behind bars, and yeah, to just give up hope on them would be foolish, very foolish.
When I first got here, I didn't want to look at anything. I didn't want to look at how bad the offense was, and now I can kind of just sit back and I can talk about it more than I was able to when I first got here.
I do believe they can be rehabilitated if the correctional departments would give the direction and guidance. I find there's very little rehabilitation in the corrections.
Obviously, this time in my life has something to do with stopping and looking real closely at what my life's about. And my life is on hold, you know. I'm away from my friends, the people that I love, You know, I'm just treated like a number locked in this place. So I suppose it's a time for reflection. It's got to be. I mean, that's the only thing that's going to keep me hopeful at all. I have to look at this and go, there must be some reason this is happening. What can I learn out of this? Bo Lozoff has helped me tremendously with that, too. I read his stuff, and it's all about that, just stopping, looking at who you are, and seeing how your life is going to fit into a bigger picture.
Prisons are schools, and we don't know that. We don't seem to make that connection. They're schools. They should be treated as schools for people that the school system didn't quite educate. And we don't see that. We just want those people out of the way. But they come back. Like he says, they come right back into your lives, worse off. What if they learned proper values while they were there? What if they learned how to be kind to each other? What if they were taught this by prison officials who were kind, who genuinely cared that these people learn another way of life other than violence and other than hurting each other?
Our ears, our nose, all our senses, we are capable of real change. We really are capable of real change.
Others say that criminals cannot change. This book, Inside the Criminal Mind, says crime resides in the human mind and is not caused or cured by social conditions. No matter what the cause, Bo believes that minds can change and has many examples to prove it. Jay Barber's on the board of the Human Kindness Foundation.
I was 22 years old when I was convicted of possession of marijuana and sent to Petersburg Federal Prison in Virginia. I was fortunate. I was there with some of the best criminal minds in the business, so to speak, but and learned all the tricks of the trade in a matter of 16 months that I was there and another 6 months in a halfway house. But I was fortunate in that Bo and Sita came along and filled a need in me to feel good about things, and we've had a long-standing, wonderful relationship since then. And I think I've actually contributed to society since my release. So.
Before Bo and Sita,
Arthur Banks was in prison for 25 years.
I was a machine of destruction.
Art now owns his own home and has his own business. He also has a master's in counseling psychology and is enrolled in advanced graduate studies. As a volunteer, he spends several hours each week counseling others.
When I was introduced to Bo's book, We're All Doing Time, it took on a different transition, I think. It was another development. I looked at things differently. I stopped feeling sorry for myself to the point where sometimes I would use, for instance, an excuse to do wrong because of everything that was done wrong to me. When I was able to turn that around and stop thinking about all the things that had been done to me that were bad, and I started thinking about all the things I had done to other people, then I was really on my way.
It's not things. It's feeling his or her connectedness to the rest of humanity. It's feeling a connectedness to the community, and especially it's feeling needed. Everybody has to feel like it matters that he or she is here.
No one would ever guess that Terry Moore spent 10 years in prison for murder. Now, the manager of Kindness House, he and a few volunteers are building this new addition, designed as a place of retreat for anyone in need of this calming atmosphere, but particularly for newly released prisoners.
This is a great opportunity to give Bo and Sita back somewhat of what they've given me. Hopefully there'll be a lot of people coming here and have the chance that I have. And it's to see something actually come of your love. You know, I get to work a lot here by myself. Volunteers come almost every day, community service workers. But a lot of times I'm by myself, and you get a real good feeling by watching your love take form. You know, you can't describe it.
learning how to sit still and let go of identity, let go of race, let go of age, let go of situation, let go of family, let go of... I have no idea who I am. I have no idea what's going on. On that deepest level, I sit and I feel breath coming in and going out. I clear and open my mind to everything else. Teach me, Lord. Show me the way. Show me the mysteries and secrets that are only secret to a noisy mind. Show me the secrets that can never be revealed in words or through books, no matter how holy. Show me that simplest state of peace beyond all understanding. Breathing in, breathing out. I got to be doing something more important with my time. Breathing in, breathing out. And take the freedom to look around the circle at anybody you like. And everyone you look at, realize you're lucky to know. You're lucky to be here with everybody. I see you. I love you, and I am grateful for you.
Altruist, Mimi Silbert. Mimi was appalled at the waste of human resources with thousands of able-bodied young men penned up with nothing to do. How could we expect them to go straight when they got out if they had no skills? What she started in one tiny corner has become a square block of successful enterprises where men on probation live and work. A growing number of alternative sentencing facilities have tried to do just that by treating convicts outside the prison system. One of the most successful programs is San Francisco's Delancey Street, best known for its resident-run restaurant and vocal director, Mimi Silbert.
I have lived for 25 years in Delancey Street. I've raised my children with these people, and there is no question that they are angry, vicious, violent, self-centered, self-destructive, antisocial people.
I had never worked before I came to Delancey Street. I didn't.
Never worked at all?
I never worked a day in my life. Not that I'm proud of it, but I just never did. I mean, I would get up and go steal or, rob or commit crimes, and that was kind of like my job.
It was just a revolving door constantly. I wouldn't listen to what nobody was saying. I was doing what I wanted to do. I was using drugs.
Our residents have an average of 18 felony convictions. That's an average of 18 strikes. They'd be doing 6 consecutive life sentences.
So it just cascaded from, group homes to boys' ranches to California Youth Authority till I turned 18 years old. When I turned 18 years old, I went right into the prison system.
That same antisocial, violent, vicious person can change. And if we're going to solve the problem of crime so that the next generation's children will not be killed, then we have to do something to turn around the lives of the people who are going to be the criminals.
As prisons become increasingly crowded, judges are offering more and more convicts alternative sentences, like 2 years in one of Delancey Street's 5 locations. Delancey's San Francisco facility, which houses 500 residents, has been running for over 25 years. They take no sex offenders. They prefer repeat felons for whom all systems have failed.
First thing I learned was how to keep my mouth shut, I think. I was pretty opinionated. I wanted to express opinions that, you know, didn't make a lot of sense because my best thoughts and my best opinions had gotten me about 15 to 16 years behind bars.
Every one of those 15 to 16 years cost taxpayers around $25,000. But at Delancey Street, it doesn't cost taxpayers a dime. It's paid for by the profit from this restaurant and the profit on all of Delancey's other businesses.
Our largest training school is a moving school. It's like a joke if you think about it. We are the people who go into people's homes to pack their most valuable possessions and then move them from one home to another. And it is on our people to understand that this item that they used to think of as, oh, I can just steal this, now belongs to somebody that they talk to, and they begin to hear that person's problems, and they have to understand that it isn't as if the rest of the world has it made and they are the only victims.
What are you doing, Frank? You homeless?
I'm doing essays that I have to do for my literature classes.
Okay. How'd you do in an essay on friendship?
Did pretty good.
Did you?
Yeah, well, better than I expected, even though that I didn't feel as good.
Right.
I did not want to trust nobody. I did not want anybody in that could hurt me at all. But like a lot of things in Delancey Street, before you realize it, before you're able to stop these things, you already are. You already are starting to care for somebody.
And like Harvard, the degree of Delancey's success can be measured by how well it's prepared its residents for life outside the walls.
I've done sales, I've done some warehouse stuff. I've even done security, which was like, you know, really exciting for me because no one asked me ever in life, or I ever thought anyone would ever ask me to secure anything.
It used to be that the powerless, the underclass, the drug addicts, the criminals, the people who couldn't find a way in were the cynics. And now we're beginning to get a middle class that's cynical. That's horrible. This is our world to fix and to make better. And if we haven't found a way to make this hope translate into action, then we better work harder. Because that's all we've got.
Martin Luther King said that life's most persistent question is, what are you doing for others? In 1982, Kathy Sneed, a jail counselor, got the idea that meaningful work could be therapeutic for the inmates she tried to help every day. She talked the sheriff into letting them use an 8-acre plot on the grounds for an organic garden. Kathy Sneed is a counselor, but she's more than that. As far as the prisoners are concerned, she's an angel of mercy.
I remember thinking they won't respond good because in America, working in the soil, working in, outside is not a prestigious thing. Everyone wants to be a lawyer. Everyone wants to have a briefcase. And so I remember thinking maybe it's not possible to bring these people out here. And I remember I was standing in front of this 25-year-old rose bramble bush and saying one day to these guys, if we could move that rose bush, we could put beds there. And they said, is that what you want, Kathy? And I was like, yeah, but we don't have the tools. We can't do it. It's impossible. It's a wall. They said, oh, no. They took off their shirts. And like some of them, I remember this one big, giant white guy with tattoos everywhere. I mean, he was pulling them with his hands, and his hands were bleeding.
I love the compost pile because in our method of gardening, we take every troubled spot, every yellow leaf, everything that is considered waste, and we turn it back into rich soil. We have a saying out here that a mistake is only a mistake if you don't learn from it. But as long as you learn from the mistake and turn it into a lesson, it can actually be beneficial to your growth.
Weeding is something that we do to give plants room to grow, because the weeds, they tend to choke plants in a way. They latch onto them, they choke them, and they take from them, sort of like a leech. And we apply that to our lives as though drugs and alcohol are like a weed in some of our lives that we have to weed out, that we have to cut at the roots and take out and in order to grow as a healthy human being and be productive in a society. Because we figure we take a lot out of our community, and this is a way of giving back to our community by growing produce for them, and we take pride in what we do here. So we grow the best and we give the best food to the people.
They could make a profit if they charge for their produce, but they give it away to hospitals and the homeless. From this act of giving comes the greatest profit, their self-esteem. These people have defied the misguided belief that you can't change human nature. There's plenty of proof that you can. And in helping others, they've helped themselves. Scientific studies show that altruists are happier and healthier, and they live longer. Altruism pays big dividends. The Dalai Lama sums it up this way: my religion is kindness.